For 20 years, my father told everyone the same thing. My son will run this company one day. My daughter, not my youngest child, my son. When he retired, he gave my brother everything, the business, the office, the authority, the future. I said nothing. Then 1 week later, a bank manager walked into a family meeting carrying a thick folder. 10 minutes later, my father was staring at me in complete shock. Because the person who had secretly saved the company wasn't my brother, it was me. My name is Rachel. I grew up in a family that owned a small manufacturing company. My father, Thomas, built it from nothing. Everyone respected him, including me, but there was one problem. My father believed leadership belonged to men. He never said it directly, not often anyway, but his actions made it obvious. My older brother, Michael, was treated as the future owner from the time he was a teenager. He attended business meetings. He joined important client dinners. He sat beside my father during negotiations. Meanwhile, I was encouraged to help with paperwork, scheduling, administrative work, the invisible tasks. Whenever I suggested improvements, my father smiled politely, then ignored them. Over time, I stopped arguing. Instead, I learned. Quietly, I studied finance online. I took accounting courses at night. I learned everything I could about business management. Nobody noticed, especially my father. 5 years before his retirement, the company entered serious trouble. Sales declined, several major customers left, debt increased, the future looked uncertain. My father didn't tell the family how bad things had become, but I knew, because I handled some financial reports. The numbers were frightening. One evening, I stayed late at the office reviewing statements. That's when I found the biggest problem. The company was spending enormous amounts on outdated production methods. Competitors were using newer systems, cheaper systems, faster systems. I spent months researching solutions. Then I prepared a complete recovery plan, cost reductions, supplier negotiations, new contracts, technology upgrades. I presented everything to my father. He barely looked at it. Thanks, Rachel. That was it. No discussion, no questions, nothing. A week later, I discovered something. My father had handed the plan to Michael and told everyone Michael had created it. I was devastated, but I didn't quit because I cared about the company, not my pride, the company. Over the next 4 years, I continued helping behind the scenes. Whenever Michael had a problem, he came to me. Whenever a financial issue appeared, I solved it. Whenever a client threatened to leave, I prepared solutions. Nobody outside the company knew. My father certainly didn't. He believed Michael was doing everything himself, and Michael never corrected him. Eventually, retirement day arrived. The entire family gathered. Employees attended. Friends attended. Even local business leaders came. During his speech, my father officially announced that Michael would become CEO. Everyone applauded. Including me. I smiled, congratulated my brother, and went home. I wasn't angry, just disappointed. Once again, I had been overlooked. A week later, my father organized a leadership meeting. He wanted to celebrate the company's future. Halfway through the meeting, the bank manager arrived. His name was Mr. Harris. He carried a thick folder. At first, nobody thought much about it. Then he began speaking. I believe some important information should be clarified. Room became quiet. My father looked confused. What information? The bank manager opened the folder. Inside were records dating back several years, financial reports, loan documents, recovery plans, contract negotiations, everything. Then he said something nobody expected. Company would not exist today without Rachel. My father frowned. What are you talking about? The manager looked surprised. You didn't know? My father slowly shook his head. Mr. Harris turned pages inside the folder, one after another. Every major financial decision that saved the company carried my name. Every restructuring plan, every debt negotiation, every recovery proposal, mine, not Michael's, mine. The room fell silent. Michael looked down at the table. My father stared at the documents, then at me, then back at the documents. As realization slowly appeared on his face, the bank manager continued. 4 years ago, the company was close to losing its primary credit line. My father nodded. He remembered. Rachel personally negotiated the solution. My father's eyes widened. Another page. 3 years ago, supplier costs were reduced by 18%. Another page. Rachel created that proposal. Another page. Modernization strategy that restored profitability. Another page. Customer retention program. Another page. Debt restructuring agreement. Every page carried my name. Every page. For nearly 20 minutes, nobody spoke. Finally, my father looked at Michael. Is this true? My brother couldn't even meet his eyes. Slowly, he nodded. Yes. Room felt frozen. For years, my father had believed Michael was leading, but Michael had simply been presenting ideas that came from me. My father looked devastated, not angry, devastated, because he realized he hadn't just underestimated me, he had ignored me for decades. A few days later, he asked me to meet him at the office. Just the two of us. When I arrived, he was sitting alone in the CEO chair, the chair he had occupied for 30 years. He looked older than usual, tired, quiet. Then he said something I never expected. I was wrong. 4 simple words, but they meant everything. He admitted that he had spent years seeing what he expected to see. A son who would lead, a daughter who would support. Reality had been the opposite. For the first time in my life, he apologized, not as a businessman, as a father. 6 months later, another family meeting was held. This time, my father made a different announcement. Leadership of the company would be shared, not because I demanded it, because I had earned it. The employees applauded, my brother applauded too. And this time, for the first time ever, my father was applauding me. Sometimes the hardest truth isn't discovering who built something. It's realizing you've been looking at the wrong person all along.